We are continuing Tractate Nedarim, and the title today is called Obstaining from Wine is Sinful. Abstaining from wine is sinful. That's the title. The rabbis taught, Rabbi Elazar HaKapo Berebbe said, it says regarding the Nazirite, and he shall make an atonement for having sinned against a soul. Numbers 6:11. Against which soul has the Nazir sinned? Against his own soul, because he tormented himself by abstaining from wine. And we can draw a logical inference from this. If a person who torments himself only in regard to wine is called a sinner, how much more so is a person called a sinner if he mortifies himself by abstaining from everything? Thus, anyone who fasts as an aesthetic practice or ascetic practice, ASCETIC. Ascetic practice.
Like if you make a
he's doing it every time after time.
Right.
So anyone who fasts as an ascetic practice is called a sinner. The Gemara asks, but this verse, Numbers 6:11, refers to an unclean Nazir, that he's a sinner. How can you infer from it that every Nazir is a sinner? The Gemara answers, because he sinned twice. Number one, by becoming a Nazir in the first place. And number two, by defiling himself during his term of Nazirus. So abstaining from something is not so simple. It's not something that people should take upon themselves without proper consultation. Because God provided it, and it says, it's sufficient. The Rebbe brings a whole discussion about it. On one hand, it says, Nedarim siag leprishus, that the Nedarim vows, becoming a Nazir, saying, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that. It's a siag, it's something that it's an aid, something that is aiding you or helping you to be posh, to be holier. On the other hand, it says, it's sufficient with the 348 prohibitions that the Torah gave you. Don't add more prohibitions on top of the prohibitions that are already existing. So where is the answer? What is the medium for this? You said a tzaddik, someone that is righteous, he doesn't need the nedarim because he's guarding himself. He knows that the permissible things are not going to lead him to gluttony and to other negative character traits. But on the other hand, if someone that knows that he has certain addictions, then for him nedarim is a good thing. He says, I'm making a vow, and that now is a commitment and he has to stick to it. For him, Nazirus is a good thing. But at the end of Nazirus, even though it was established as something that is positive, at the end of the term he has to give an offering to atone for the time that he abstained, that he tormented his soul, neglecting it in a way from what it could had. There's another short Ein Yaakov, and the title for that is called Bashfulness. Bashfulness. We learned, don't fall into the habit of making vows, for you will end up violating your oath. If you're constantly making vows, making commitments, it's a matter of time that you will violate your commitments.
Kol Nidre doesn't protect you for the whole year.
But still, it says Kol Nidre. It says Torah says Kol hayotzeh mipiv yaseh lo yochel dvoro. You should never profane your words. So even though you might be protected by Kol Nidre and the annulment of the vows, we annul the vow of Rosh Hashanah. We annul it for the upcoming year. Before Rosh Hashanah, we're annulling it for the upcoming year. Yeah, but nevertheless, there is power to the words that comes out of your mouth. And if you say it's going to be for shipping and you're charging for shipping, it's a problem, or vice versa, Anyway, so since oath involve pronouncing God's name, they are more serious than vows. There's an oath and there's a vow. Oath is involving God's name. vows don't. That's the explanation of the Ran, the difference between oath and a vow. Don't become close with an Am Haaretz, with an ignorant man. Don't be close with him. Why? For it will come to the point that he will give you tevel, he will give you produce, which is not, which no priestly gifts and tithe have been separated. He will give it to you to eat. And do not associate with a Kohen who is an Am Haaretz. Why? For in the end he will give you truma to eat. He's not allowed to give you his truma, but he might give it to you because he's an Am Haaretz, is an ignorant man. And priestly gift that a non-Kohen is forbidden to eat. It will give you things that you're not allowed to eat.
Yeah, you just made my friends list even smaller, Menashe. Thank you very much, Rabbi.
And do not converse excessively with a woman, for it will lead you to immorality. So 3 things. Number 1 is don't be too close with an Am Haaretz because you might eat tevel. Number 2, don't be too close with a Kohen who is an Am Haaretz because he will give you truma to eat and priestly gift that you're not allowed to eat. Israelite is not allowed to eat them. And number 3, do not converse excessively with a woman. It would lead you to immorality. So we learned in a Brisa, it says, Moshe said to the people, do not fear, for in order to elevate you has God come. For in order to elevate you has God come, so that awe of him shall be in your faces. Exodus 20:17. This means shamefacedness, busha, to have some embarrassment, so that you shall not sin. This teaches that shamefacedness leads to fear of sin. If someone is fearful of being shameful, it leads to fear of sinning. If someone doesn't care of having busha, of being put to shame, he's in the wall of shame. He couldn't care less. So it would not lead him. It will not protect him from sinning. But if I care about shame, then it would cause me to be fearful of sinning. This teaches that shamefacedness leads to fear of sin. Based on this is the saying, it is a good sign for a person to be shameful. If a guy is shy, it's a good sign. Others say a person who has a sense of shame will not easily sin. And if a person is not shamefaced, it is sure sign that his ancestors were not present at Mount Sinai. So the revelation of God brought shamefulness to us. And if someone is very boastful and very aggressive in a way that is not embarrassed of anything, he can say anything to everyone, that means that his ancestors were not present at Mount Sinai. At the giving of the Torah, when Moshe said the above mentioned words, he said to them that he said to them these words, do not fear, for in order to elevate you has God come, so that the awe of him shall be on your faces.